Well, hello everybody. Here we are in our final module of the class in summer of 25 and our practical skills for healthcare managers. All right, let me go over some kind of wrap up things for the course and also talk a little bit about what we're doing for module 7 and a little update and all that stuff. So, all right, let me go ahead and remove my picture here. Before I jump into the big presentation, just to kind of let you all know, all the grading has been caught up. Sorry about that. I was a little delayed on about half of you. So everything now should be caught up for your threaded discussions. And then also a few of you were missing. I hadn't gotten to your content outline. So those all look great. Everything looks fantastic there. Please go back and look at your scores and your feedback and all of that stuff. But for the most part, nothing to worry about for the vast majority of you. One quick note, I know I've said this before in previous videos, but a few of you have some missing assignments, kind of low-hanging fruit assignments. I do accept late work. There is a deduction on points. A little bit of haircut on points, because, those of you that got those folks that got it in on time. However, it's still worth your while to get the points, to submit that. You can do the calculation based off of, how many points for the course. It's a 1,000-point course. How many points do you have right now? How many points do you think you're going to get with this major assignment? So, in a big chunk of the grade, you could still pass the course. You could technically, looking at the points here, yeah, you could do it. You could probably still technically pass the course and not submit the final VoiceThread. I think I've had a couple students do that. But that means you've kind of aced everything all the way through, and you're not getting a fantastic grade. Total points on this assignment, if you were to skip it, looks like about 150. Yeah, you could probably still get someone could theoretically get a B, but don't risk it, guys. Don't risk it. This assignment is really worth a letter grade, for folks. It's going to change you from a B to an A or from a C to a B. So all that. But anyhow, late work, please get it in. You have until Sunday at midnight because the course will close. As many of you know, these courses close Sunday at midnight Eastern. And at that point, it's pretty hard. On Monday morning, I have to have everything graded and your final grades submitted in Empower. I have a very little window. So it's, usually noon on Monday, which means I really don't have time to track people down to say, hey, you're missing your VoiceThread assignment. So I got to go with what's in there. Now, if there is some major technical meltdown, something happens, definitely get a hold of me. Many of you have done this. You can always old-fashioned email or text me. So if some major crisis happens, let me know. And it's pretty rare, but I've had some students who have had technical issues with VoiceThread. Hopefully you've already worked those technical pieces out. You've looked at VoiceThread, maybe have used it before. Look at the resources that are in modules. I think I put it in module 6 as a look ahead and in module 7 to make sure that you're not trying to figure out VoiceThread Sunday because that is the worst time. Make sure you can figure it out now. That way you can still get a hold of IT help should there be any issues. Okay, but with that being said, again, if something major happens over the weekend, whatever it might be, let me know if it's preventing you from submitting especially this final key assignment because it is worth so many points. All right. Enough of that. Let's see. We've talked about the grading, all of that. I think we're all set up on what's happened in the past. For last module 6. All right. Let's talk quickly about this. So the final VoiceThread course summary presentation. I'll give you a secret about how I grade. It's really simple. I try not to make it hard on you, and I make it easy for me. I look at these things like first thing, does the student have the slide requirement? If you're missing slides, I'm like, something's gone, something's wrong, something's missing. Points are coming off. So I'm looking, do we have the 14 slides? Just make sure, kind of following this, this template that's listed here. slide 1 is that title slide. Slides 2 through 13. Did you choose, the 6 textbook chapters? Each 6 of the chapters, you're going to pick 4 things at least that you really like out of that chapter that resonate for you. Maybe 5, maybe 6 if you're really excited about something, but at least have that 4. So 4 concepts or takeaways from each one of those 6 chapters. Then you're going to develop 2 slides for each chapter. Again, right there, we're at 12 slides. 6 times 2, 12. And then each slide, I'm looking at the content. It doesn't have to be a lot. Actually, my recommendation is don't put a lot on these slides. You can make them kind of cool looking if you like, but you can go out there and watch YouTube videos about what good slides are. Good slides do not have paragraphs on them. They don't even have sentences on them. We try to avoid that. It might just be those 3 bullet points on there. Maybe a header and these 3 bullet points. And then you'll talk around those, and it can be a very conversational, one of the things, you don't want to do is just to read, like I see this happen where students will just copy and paste, like paragraphs in, 10-point font on the slides and then read the slides. So, my recommendation again is just to have those very basic bullet points, those 2 to 3 concept areas that you're going to be talking about, and just have a conversation about those. It doesn't have to be, formal and rigid and narrated. However, you want to have some organization to it too. So, some of you, you may have been doing this for quite a while. This may be a brand new idea to you, but Post-it notes. So whenever, if I'm doing a production, a video that I'm going to want to make sure that I'm not winging like I'm doing now, but I want to wing. And I want to make sure I hit the high points, Post-it notes. And I put them around the camera where you can't see, but you think, oh my gosh, this person's brilliant. No, use little Post-it notes or like your cue cards. You can even use, there's even other methods, but that's the easiest one. Just little notes around there. That way you can also have, you're kind of maintaining some eye contact with the camera. Because again, it's sort of like a in-class presentation where you do have to engage the audience, even though the audience is just me. You do want to kind of have that content. Again, another thing that you can get, points off is like if you're just reading that transcript and you're just looking down like this, blah, 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 blah. Then you advance the slide. So have some little notes and stuff around your camera, I mean, you could even have maybe even a Word document on your, computer screen in place of notes. But again, just try not to read. Just kind of, use that to highlight, use those notes to kind of add some organization to your presentation, and to help you remember some of the key points, and then you'll figure out the rest. Kind of like, oh yeah, I remember this point. I'm going to talk about it. All right, so there's that. A little bit of a secret there. And what a lot of folks, again, probably the most single thing where people have gotten points off is they forget slide 14. They don't do the personal development plan, and that's just really, kind of a loosey-goosey term there, but you can, whatever you want to do, for kind of honing, your skills forward. Because I think it's always a good idea to, sharpen the saw, be continuously dipping your toe in the water and, either practicing techniques that you've already learned or learning new techniques. My thing is podcasts and YouTube. Love them. So I'll usually have my 3 or 4 purely entertainment podcasts, and I'll have a couple of podcasts that are really for kind of that professional development or personal development. So maybe it's that. And then YouTube videos, love them. For example, I mean, the biggest thing that's just been enveloping is AI. And that's been something since really January. For me, it was January of 23 that I first, cracked open ChatGPT and realized the world was going to change. It came out that November, in November of 22. I looked at it at winter break from here at the college, and I was like, this is going to change everything. So I've been, watching that development, and especially as people know, I will talk about this forever. But as managers, and I'm assuming many of you have, if you're taking this course, you probably have an interest in management someday, and administration, and that artificial intelligence is going to be a huge part of that, in my belief, very, very soon. It's already there now. It's just people are figuring out how to bring it into the workforce. But I think we're going to see it in the workforce probably towards the end of this year, and definitely big time in 26. You'll see actual AI agents working for organizations. But that's something, again, how do you practice, how do you keep abreast of kind of management skills, changes that are happening within, healthcare management, supervision, administration. So there you go. That's the one where people, if they get points off, I'm like, oh, we're slide 14. So right there's a chunk of points off. So again, make sure you're following everything here. Not looking for, it doesn't have to be a perfect perfection, perfect produced, presentation. Just looking for good effort, and that you've met all those criteria for it, and you'll end up getting, almost, if not all, the points. So, all right, so there's that. That's pretty much it for this week. You guys have done a great job. I mean, you've just been sailing right along. Seems like there's been very little difficulties. Great, discussion. Some of the best written discussion topics. So you're probably, whatever tools you're using to help write those, you're doing really good with that. So, and those perspectives that you're capturing in there are really great. So, some of the best, I've ever seen in this class. So great job with, with our discussions, over the past few weeks. You will have one more of these progress journals, due this week too. Remember, easy points. All you got to do is just talk to me, answer some questions if you want to answer the questions, or you can take the narrative in any way, and that's automatic points. So there's that as well. If you do have any questions as we're wrapping up, please don't hesitate to reach out. Sort of time is of the essence as we get to the last few days of the course. So again, the best way to get a hold of me for short order, questions, situations, you can text me. If it's a longer, format, we can do email. And then if we need to talk, we can talk. But other than that, I'm anticipating smooth sailing to the very end, and I hope everybody enjoys the remainder of the summer. I'm assuming many of you will be going on to a second 7-week class. Have a little downtime in between to recharge your batteries. But again, try to enjoy your summer. And again, if anything comes up, don't hesitate to reach out. And it's been a pleasure having all of you in the class. Thanks.